content in
Yes.
mainstream languages and whatnot. So this is only going to empower them. Just one more question about the platform. Do you would you be supporting content across languages, or is there any foundation there?
No, I think, I mean, that's what I always say, that India is not one country. India is actually 25 countries, right? Because
Right. Yeah.
every state, every language have their own kind of content story, right? And I think
Yeah.
we are very much open and very much excited to be part of this vernacular content industry, because today I think it's not just Hindi or South Indian films. Today, look at Bhojpuri, look at Punjabi, look at any of those other language films, right? I think every language, every state is kind of promoting more and more content creation opportunities within that state, right? And I think every state is also giving a lot of opportunities. Like for example, even the Marathi film industry is becoming so huge now, and Maharashtra actually gives very liberal subsidies for people who are making films in Maratha in
Hmm.
Maharashtra, right? So I
Yeah.
think all those elements are definitely working in tandem with us, and we are very much open to support vernacular media.
Excellent. Brilliant. Now, just zooming out a little bit, I would love to know, you've had past experience working in, the VCA space and tech and now Web3, and it's been quite a journey. But right now, as you stand today with all your experience, what are the kind of challenges you foresee Web3 facing, perhaps in this particular cycle? And how do you think we can overcome those, and how do you think Pandora plays in that scope of things?
Sure. I think there are multiple challenges there, sir. I mean,
Hmm.
I think the biggest challenge is the regulatory challenge,
Right.
right? Because I think, unfortunately, India has not been as uh, supportive
Proactive, perhaps.
of
Yeah.
Web3
Yeah.
regulations are, as other countries are now becoming, right from your Dubai to Singapore of the world. So while they initially resisted the idea, but they understood that there are ample advantages of introducing blockchain-based financial instruments, right?
Right.
But India, I think India still, uh, in a way, tries to put everything in the same basket, right? Be it crypto
Hmm.
coins, be it Bitcoin, be it a properly asset-backed a Web3 token. So they all look at it from a single view, right? And India doesn't have a proper regulation, for example, looking at token as a financial instrument, right?
Hmm.
So because of this, there's always a confusion in the potential investors as well, because they are not very sure whether if they are buying a Web3 product, most of them still have that kind of a perceptual fear that I'm buying a crypto,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? So that confusion is always there, and we need to work double hard to remove that confusion, bring trust, and bring credibility onto whatever we are trying to build on this place, right? So
Hmm.
that's one challenge. The second challenge is, again, I think, um, the pace at which this industry is growing, right? Be it in terms of technology, be it in terms of tools, so that kind of becomes overwhelming at times, because let's say that if I have started working on an idea 3 months down the line, and it has taken 3 months for me to build and reach to a particular stage, I would realize that someone else has already done that, and someone else
Yeah.
has the technology has changed. We have some more interesting L1 chains which have come up, which can do this at a faster, more easier, more simpler, more cheaper ways, right? So all those things
Hmm.
keep changing, which is not a challenge actually, which is a good thing, right? But then
Hmm.
again, for a founder, it becomes slightly overwhelming at times to
Yeah.
kind of keep track of what is happening in the whole space, and how can I optimally keep utilizing these developments for my product,
Right.
right? The third challenge, again to an extent, is in terms of, I would say, funding, because in India, the VC funds are still apprehensive of fractional or real world asset tokenization, right? They are still kind of on a wait and watch policy. And if I go on to a Web3 venture capital fund outside India, now they are expecting to invest in tokens, right? So they have a different
Right.
mindset to look at any Web3 deals, right? So that needs a different set of product, a different set of expectations that they have. So I think again that is something that we as founders have to balance out and keep balancing out from that perspective. So yeah,
Hmm.
I think these are the key challenges that we also are facing as Pandora.
Right. Yeah. I think those are the challenges that you kind of rightly hit the nail on the head. These are the kind of challenges that Indian founders especially are facing. Do you feel that okay, let me put it this way. What kind of niches do you think would do really well in this upcoming or some people, as they say, that's already started this bull run?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think after the introduction of Bitcoin ETF,
Hmm.
right? I think the narrative of Web3 is again changed. After I mean, people have again started focusing on Web3. After I think the initial hype on AI has now subsided, and people are
Right.
now trying to understand that how AI and Web3 indeed can work together to
Hmm.
create even more interesting solutions. So I think we are in the bull phase for sure. The next 6 to 9 months will be interesting. ICOs are back in the reckoning. Investors are opening up their purses. They are again looking out for interesting opportunities to invest. A lot of interesting countries and regulators are trying to ease and trying to open up tokens as a financial instrument, right? So you have new players like Qatar, like Canada, who are now wanting to come into this space and kind of legalize financial tokens, right? So
Hmm.
I think overall the mood is now again positive. Uh, Both the founders and investors have understood that what is it that requires to be done. I think even with respect to NFT, while I
Hmm.
understand that NFT went through a very bad phase, but if you look at the resurgence of NFTs, it is now happening through brands, right? It is not
Right.
happening through collectors. So I think now brands have understood that, okay, where is the Web3 actually benefiting and how Web3 can be used as a tool to engage and enhance the customer feedback and customer experience, right? And which is why they are
Hmm.
launching NFTs today. So, I mean, if you look at India, we had a very recent case of even IRCTC, which is Indian Railways, launching NFT as a ticket.
Right. Right.
Right.
New
So I
Delhi
think
to
that's again
Lucknow. Right.
correct. So that's again a very interesting example of how finally NFTs are now coming back in the reckoning, and not just for the collectible sake, not just for a speculative purpose, but for an actual utility purpose.
Right. Yes, that is absolutely true. I think there are bigger brands that are now really taking stock of NFTs. I think they were a few months ago as well with with Starbucks and
Yeah.
Nike and Adidas, sort of getting in the space. But overall, the sentiment I feel is very positive again in the market.
Yes.
So, you're a podcaster yourself and you're an author too. Can you tell us a little about those two aspects of your work life?
Sure. So I think it was in COVID that when all of us had extra time on our hand, I thought that why don't I start to pen down my thoughts, and that is where the whole idea of my book called Unblock
Hmm.
came about. And what I've tried to do through this book is uh, these are more my experiences and the lessons that I have learned, and I have put in a lot of qualitative thoughts on the journey of an entrepreneur, right? So I think that is what I've focused on. So be it kind of, for example, getting across your co-founder trust issues, beating imposter syndrome, kind of crossing over the lines of fear when you are just about to take a leap into something
Hmm.
which is
Hmm.
uncertain, right? Because I think an entrepreneur is not just about product and money, right? There is a lot more to an entrepreneur, and
That
and
is
this
true.
whole journey can be really overwhelming and transformative of anyone who's really deep into it,
Can
right?
be
And
very
I think
humbling as well, I think,
absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally. And I think that is what I've tried to focus on. So the book has about 21 different chapters, and each chapter kind of trying to devote to these kind of qualitative aspects of the entrepreneur journey. So that is what it is all about. And my podcasting, basically began again, I think last year sometime.
Hmm.
though I'm not very active again. I think I need to get my get it more reactivated now. And so this is the podcast is called Finding Your Founders Mojo with Satish Kataria, and it
Hmm.
is currently available on Spotify. And
Okay.
here again, what I've tried to do is trying to do interviewing, different kind of entrepreneurs. Let's say a woman entrepreneur, an entrepreneur who's a very young child prodigy. He's just 9 years old, and still he's starting something on his own. Yet, at that young age, I've spoken to an entrepreneur who met a very almost fatal accident, right? And he
Okay.
had to, his legs have to be amputated. But then how
Wow.
he actually came back to this entrepreneurial life and again restarted this business, right? So I was trying to cover the multiple aspects again from, trying to cover different kind of entrepreneurs. Some of them are established, some of them are evolving, some of them are fund managers. So that was the whole idea behind this podcast, that how we can look at different human as well as tactical aspects of entrepreneurship and kind of highlight them, so that all the people who want to get onto this journey, who want to become entrepreneurs, and want to start on this journey, they can at least get some insights to be better prepared for this future.
Right. So, you mentioned that the podcast is available on Spotify. What
Yeah.
about the book? Is it available on Amazon?
I guess it was. I'm not sure if that, but anyway, what I can do is, what we
You
can
can
do is,
perhaps share a link, right? And
correct. I can share a
we can
link,
put,
or
yeah.
more interestingly, I'd be happy to give out few copies to your listeners. So what we can do is, we can set out an email or link for them, and if someone is interested, I'd be happy to kind of courier the copy, with my compliments.
Oh, that is wonderful. That is so sweet. I think the first one that I'll perhaps I'll be the first person to order. If it is available on
Absolutely,
a link, please do share it. I would
absolutely,
love to place an order and read your thoughts because this sounds like a very compelling read to me as
sure,
well.
sure, absolutely.
So, Satish, what is next? Like, obviously your platform is going live in April. You have written a book. You are intermittently podcasting as well. What is the next big thing that you are looking forward to?
Yeah, so Tarusha, I think, ever since I've started on my entrepreneurial journey, what has driven me is this whole passion of helping others to fulfill their dreams, right? I think
Hmm.
that at a very core level is my whole driving force, right? It's not money, it's not projects, right? So if you notice my journey, be it launching crowdfunding. So again, the reason why I picked up on crowdfunding and I launched crowdfunding was same, because in 2010, when I was understanding the market, I realized that if we have a country of only 500 to 600 investors, they are very, very less to be able to actually bring entrepreneurship revolution in India, right? We need more investors, because only if we get more people participating in this ecosystem, only then more and more entrepreneurs will get at least a chance to fulfill their entrepreneurial dreams, right? So I think that was the thought behind me launching crowdfunding. Today, thankfully, 14 years down the line, I think the entrepreneurial ecosystem has evolved a lot bigger than that. So that's a happy fact for me to note. But
Hmm.
then, having said that, I continue to play with and I continue to explore, emerging more innovative models of funding and fundraising, because I think that has become my second calling somehow, be it crowdfunding, be it revenue-based financing, be it real-world asset tokenization, right? So I always look at unconventional ways of creating funding platforms or creating funds, right? So, for example, right now, I'm also working with a private investment corpus, which is only going to invest in F&B and travel tech,
Okay.
right? So that's again something that I'm advising on. So it's a different set of corpus, which is already constituting some traditional businesses and some F&B founders who are keen to further encourage more ventures in this space. So that is something else that I'm doing, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it right now.
Awesome. This is, all again, super exciting stuff. And if there are startups who are, or entrepreneurs who are listening in who are from the F&B or the travel tech space, how should they get in touch with you to pitch your
Yeah,
idea?
yeah, I think they can definitely get in touch with me either through my email or my LinkedIn. Yeah,
Okay.
I'd be happy to share the links with you, and then we can, I'm happy to take it forward from there.
Awesome, brilliant. So that is a little bit for everyone. Now this has been again a very wonderful conversation. I think I love speaking to fellow entrepreneurs, just exchanging ideas, and I get to learn something in every conversation. So I'm very grateful,
Likewise, Tarusha.
that you could make the time, honestly. And I wish this conversation didn't have to end, but I must start wrapping things up. We
Sure.
are reaching that time mark, but I would be completely amiss if I didn't ask you these last two questions. So one is, it's actually one question, perhaps, we can break it down into two parts. So one would be, what would be your advice for aspiring entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs who are losing faith? Okay, like aspiring entrepreneurs, I think a lot of people give advice to. Let's maybe keep it for entrepreneurs who really built in the bear cycle, and now they are, like you mentioned, they're losing. The VC money aspect is a little scattered in India, so they're losing faith and they don't have the kind of resources to keep building on. What would be your advice to them? That's one. And the second would be your general advice for anybody who is like a user or a stakeholder or a potential user or stakeholder in Web3. And what would be your advice to these guys for them to start really adopting Web3 and start living on blockchain?
Sure. So I think let me answer the second question first.
Hmm.
And I think what is happening actually is that fortunately or unfortunately, the whole narrative around Web3 has become very technology centric,
Right.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
Which is
And that is
why
going to be our undoing, I think. That is
yes,
like a greatest problem. Yeah.
yeah,
It
and I
can't be
think
all tech. Yeah.
correct. And and what is actually happening, and that is the reason why even if the Web3 platforms have the best of the tech, they are not able
Hmm.
to sustain consumer interest, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because end of the day, a consumer is finally interested in understanding that what is it in it for him, right?
Right.
How can he
Right.
benefit, or what's the actual pain point that problem is solving for him? Like, and he's not concerned for underlying technology. I mean, is blockchain not blockchain? Yeah, we can tell him that it will be more transparent and it will be in his control. Fine, but what else? Right. So I think what really need to happen is that all these awesome people that we have in the Web3 ecosystem, they
Hmm.
also need to look beyond the tech. They also need to understand that what areas of the current consumer market ecosystem is that they can capture, right? And how they can then marry these two thoughts that okay, this has Web3 and this also has something which will really solve a consumer problem, right? I think if they
Hmm.
can start building those kind of things, we will have far more adoption of Web3 amongst the masses, right?
Right.
And this is something which has to be done by all the stakeholders. It's not just the founders. I mean, the government, the consumers themselves, the brands, because like I said, the current NFT resurgence have happened because the brands have adopted that, right?
Right.
If
Right.
brands had not adopted that, people would have already dropped NFTs far before. So that is, I think that answers the question too. Coming to the first part, so I think you're right. And when you're not getting the funding, when you're not getting the support, and I think as an entrepreneur, no matter how glamorous it looks from outside, we both
Hmm.
understand that it's a roller
Yeah.
coaster ride, right? And we're
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
looking out for something. We're looking out for more help, more funding. That is something which is a continuous cycle. It
Yeah.
doesn't end with just one fundraise, right? So I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah. It's a
uh,
cycle, right? You start,
yeah,
you by the time you actually have money in the bank and you're done with one funding
correct,
round, a few months in, you
correct,
have to start all over again.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
once you
So
get in the cycle, then it is endless.
absolutely. So I think end of the day, it's all about conviction, right? End of the day,
Yeah.
it's like if I every day when I end my day, I just go back and understand that what is it that I really want to do, and what I'm doing right now, how does it match up on that scale?
Right.
Right? Because ultimately, I think it's the passion and the vision that drives it. It's not the money, it's not the PR, it's not the fame that drives us. I
Hmm.
mean, if we are very strong on the vision part of it, I think we will find a way out. Even if the funding is not coming, we have to bootstrap. We will do that. We will kind of continue to run till the time we can, right? I think that's the whole idea. But
Right.
uh, having said that, I think as an entrepreneur is also a very important skill to recognize the right time to quit, right?
Hmm.
Because there are some ideas which may not see the light of the day. Maybe you have a different perception on market. Maybe the consumers are not accepting it in that way, and there is a probability that they will not for some time to come. Maybe you're slightly beyond your time, right? With your idea
Hmm.
or whatever, whatever. And then I think that is something which is not a personal failure. It's a personal learning experience, right?
Right.
It's just a startup that shuts down. It's not the entrepreneur that shuts down. You can always
Right. Yeah.
go out and try again
It's
and push.
important that you make that distinction, right? I think this is
Correct,
so important and needs to be repeated that this shouldn't be taken personally. Just because an
right,
idea doesn't work out doesn't mean that this is a personal attack on you or you are lacking in some way.
correct,
There are so many factors that come into play to make an
right,
idea work or for an idea to not work.
right.
And more, I think this is something that needs to be repeated as often as possible because
I
there are so
mean,
many entrepreneurs, right, who kind of
like,
lose heart and they take it
yeah,
personally.
like, imagine, right? I just imagine what is happening with Byju's right now, right? At
Yeah,
one point
yeah,
in time, they were so celebrated, right? And today they
yeah,
are
right,
facing
right.
challenges from all sides, right? So I can just imagine that, how the founder could have been going through this entire phase now, right? And
Hmm.
it has been a complete roller coaster for him, right? There was a time when when funders were just knocking at his door to give him any money he wants,
Yeah,
right? And today the cycles have reversed, right? People are wanting to
yeah.
extract the money back from him, right? But again, it all depends on how strong is he internally that he will be able to cross this phase, right? And I
Hmm.
think he will obviously, because if, as long as your foundation is right, your basics are right, you do cover the journey. But then, as I said, that if he at this level can face this kind of challenges, I think then though we have far more ground to cover, in that
Yeah,
sense.
absolutely. I think everybody's entrepreneurial journey, I truly believe, is mostly riddled with similar challenges. I think the scale changes. I
Yes,
truly believe
absolutely.
that
Yes,
the
yes,
problem
yes.
of the scale of the problems change, but mostly the problems kind of remain the same. That is
Yeah,
why it's a very universal experience a lot of people are having. And having said that, I would like to reiterate that this I have never come across any entrepreneur, any fellow entrepreneur who wouldn't want to lend you a helping hand or wouldn't want to perhaps give you some perspective. So
right.
never feel alone as an entrepreneur. I think that is very important as well because there are so many solo founders and they feel that they feel it can be a very lonely journey,
Yeah,
but it
yeah,
doesn't have to be an isolating journey, perhaps.
absolutely, absolutely, Tanuja.
Wonderful. So now, we really have to wrap this up, Satish. Thank you so much for
Thank
this
you so much.
wonderful, wonderful conversation. Any parting thoughts or any kind of recommendations that you would like to give in to our users, listeners, before we, kind of wrap this up?
No, I think we're in very exciting times, right?
Hmm.
And I think we all have all the available resources at our beck and call today. Be it funding, be it mentorship, be it technology, and also the fact that the next 10 years are India's time, right?
Right, right.
So I think even government is very supportive. There's a lot of positivity all around us. So I think this is the right time to take that jump if you haven't already, and try to push your dreams and make things happen. I think that is what my parting thought would be.
Okay, brilliant. No, I think that is a wonderful note on which we can end this conversation. Thank you so much once again, Satish, for having and making the time to speak to me today. This has been absolutely wondrous.
Thank you, Darisha.